In the 10th year of the Hongwu reign of the Ming dynasty, Zhu Yuanzhang disguised himself as a wealthy merchant and went to Peixian to pursue his ancestral land. Unexpectedly discovered that the people of Peixian live and work in peace, have enough food and clothing, and live a prosperous life. Unprecedented methods such as highways, residential areas, and factories have emerged. Zhu Yuanzhang was overjoyed, thinking that Meng, the county magistrate of this place, was a capable minister in governing the world. Unexpectedly, the next scene made him dumbfounded. This county magistrate invested in gambling houses, brothels, and became a protective umbrella in Pei County. Accepting bribes of 10,000 taels of silver in public, managing official positions, and not avoiding suspicion, the backyard of the county government office is filled with golden bottles and glass products, exuding wealth and grandeur. Zhu Yuanzhang. I can't bear it. Today, I have to kill this corrupt official. Empress Ma. Heavy 8, cannot be killed. Meng has made contributions to disaster relief. Zhu Di said, Father, I can't kill you. Meng will solve the trouble of the northern barbarians. Zhu Yunwen said, Grandpa, you can't kill him. Children and grandchildren still need Meng to assist in the throne. Zhu Yuanzhang. The birth of the first corrupt official in history. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Pursuing Ancestral Land, Meng is a good official. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the 10th year of the Hongwu reign of the Ming dynasty. Shuzhou. On the official road within the territory, a small caravan is slowly moving forward. The carriage passed by. The yellow sand in the sky cannot disperse for a long time. In the carriage, there sat a family of 4. A middle-aged man led by him, with a majestic gaze and a demeanor of a superior, still maintains his vitality even under the fatigue of the boat and carriage. In contrast, the 2 sons sitting in the carriage, on the other hand, showed signs of fatigue but still stood up straight with their backs. At this point, the woman sitting next to the middle-aged man reached out and lifted the curtain to look outside, then spoke up. 8, we are about to enter Peixian and not far from our ancestral land. After watching this time, let's finalize the name of our ancestral land. The woman said kindly, but her face showed a relaxed smile and respect for her ancestors. Ancestral land symbolizes the roots of a family. People who have a little extra money will work hard to repair their ancestral land, building it high, large, and imposing. Because, this is even more an honor. The more majestic the ancestral cultivation, the more capable the descendants will be. The people are still like this. Not to mention the royal family. That's right. In this caravan, there is a family of 4, and their true identity is actually the royal family of the Ming dynasty. The mighty middle-aged man in the carriage was Zhu Yuanzhang. Beside him is his curled-hair wife, Empress Ma. The 2 sons are the eldest son Zhu Biao and the second son Zhu Xiu. As for the guards outside the carriage, they were disguised by people from the Xinji camp. The purpose of this trip is to determine the ancestral location of their old Zhu family. The reason why we still need to send someone to investigate. It was because during the generation of Zhu Yuanzhang's grandfather, in order to avoid exploitation by the Yuan government at that time, he left the ancestral land of the old Zhu family and fled to another place with Zhu Yuanzhang's father. After the death of Zhu Yuanzhang's grandfather, the family was in dire poverty, and Zhu Yuanzhang's father had to migrate again. Finally, he settled in Haozhou, Fengyang, where Zhu Yuanzhang was born. But Zhu Yuanzhang didn't expect that after investigating this ancestral land for almost 10 years, he was still uncertain. Ultimately, it can only be traced back to a village called Zujiazhuang in Peixian County. It's also good to establish a title in Peixian. This is a great place. At the thought of resolving this matter, Zhu Yuanzhang's serious face also showed a rare smile. Upon hearing these words, the second prince Zhu Xiu beside him curiously asked. Dad, can it be a small place like Peixian or a treasure trove of feng shui? Zhu Yuanzhang nodded. Peixian has had good feng shui since ancient times. The Han Emperor Gaozu Lu Bang was from Peixian. Not only that, there are also 3 famous villages near Lubang village, including Marquis Zhou Bo of Jiang, Marquis Wang Ling of Anghua, and Marquis Guaning of Yingyin. The finished fonts of the 3 regions are evenly spaced 5 miles apart, and that's how 5 miles and 3 marquises came about. Peixian also boasts the beauty of Eternal Dragon Enclave and hometown of emperors and generals. When Zhu Yuanzhang said these things, his old face also appeared somewhat honorable. Although old Zhu is a rough person, sometimes he can also drag and drop articles. When he said this, the others in the carriage nodded along. In this way, naming Peixian is indeed a good thing. Soon, the carriage has entered Peixian County. Gradually, one could hear the laughter of the people walking through the carriage. In the carriage, everyone's faces showed joyful smiles. After rushing all the way, we are finally about to reach the destination. The fatigue of ancient boats and carriages is not just a matter of words. Just sitting in a carriage without anything can make one feel tired after a day. These days, I can't even eat a few bites a day, and Empress Ma has also become quite haggard. Only emperors like Zhu Yuanzhang on horseback, and Zhu Xiu, are slightly better. It's okay now, all of this will soon be over. Just. The Zhu Yuanzhang family sitting in the carriage felt something was wrong. Why did the bumpy feeling of this carriage suddenly become lighter? Zhu Biao was somewhat surprised and said, Dad, have you ever felt that the carriage is much smoother? Zhu Yuanzhang's face was slightly surprised and he nodded. Zhu Xiu couldn't help but lift the curtain and looked out. What is this? Look at it. Everyone was startled by Zhu Xiu's voice. What's wrong, second brother? Zhu Biao also extended his head to look outside. Then, he became like Zhu Xiu. Dad. This road. It's different from what we've seen before. Zhu Yuanzhang frowned. Why are these 2 sons so surprised? What really amazing thing did you see? He and Empress Ma were also curious. He extended his head. Then the 2 of them were also stunned. The road on the ground was indeed something they had never seen before. A very smooth black avenue appeared ahead. Wide field of vision. The carriage walks on this road without any bumps. Because there are no potholes at all. Not only that. Zhu Yuanzhang felt that even someone like him who had practiced martial arts could sleep directly on it without any problem. What's going on? The road to the palace is not as good either. Empress Ma nodded and praised, not bad, it's also the first time I've seen such a smooth road. But on this main road, only their whole family stretched out their heads to look. The faces of other passers-by remained unchanged, as if they had long been accustomed to it. Only Zhu Yuanzhang's family seemed to have never seen anyone in the world. On the contrary, their 4 protruding heads were curiously stared at by passers-by. Zhu Yuanzhang coughed awkwardly. Go, check it out for us. Yes. The guards were ordered to leave quickly. Zhu Yuanzhang simply ordered someone to stop the carriage. A few people in the carriage also got down to breathe, waiting for the guards to come back and answer. Zhu Yuanzhang reached out and stepped on the ground. Well, it's really sturdy. I don't know what it was repaired for, it's even harder than iron bumps, and it's completely different from ordinary mud roads. Soon. The guards have returned. Sir, I have inquired carefully. This road is called Malu and was built by the county magistrate Meng of Pei County. And there are 8 roads like this in Peixian. It connects all parts of Peixian and has an extremely wide range. Upon hearing this, Zhu Yuanzhang was somewhat shocked in his heart. He originally thought that building such a road would not be easy. I didn't expect there were 8 more. Zhu Yuanzhang smiled. This Meng is not bad, he is a good official who benefits the people. The people walking nearby heard Zhu Yuanzhang loudly praising Meng and also spoke up one after another. At first glance, you are from out of town, and the reputation of the county magistrate is well known to everyone within a radius of more than 10 miles. Isn't that right? Our county magistrate is the best person in the world. The county magistrate has not been in Peixian for long, but he has done more for our people than the previous county magistrate did in 10 years. Chapter 2. What are brick factories and residential areas? This bountiful harvest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing the people around, everyone couldn't help but praise the newly appointed county magistrate. Zhu Yuanzhang stroked his beard. My impression of Meng has also improved in my heart. After a moment of rest, Zhu Yuanzhang and his companion sat back in the carriage. Continue on the road. Zhu Yuanzhang also discovered that the road built by Meng not only had a flat ground, but also had special regulations. Various carriages come and go in the middle, with pedestrians on both sides of the road. Even if there are not many carriages coming and going, the middle road cannot allow people to walk. This made Zhu Yuanzhang and his carriage almost unobstructed. Zhu Yuanzhang nodded in satisfaction. After we go back, we also need to make such a rule. Soon he discovered again. The people walking on both sides around here have smiles on their faces, as if they are not worried about their lives. Zhu Yuanzhang was slightly touched, and if such a scene had happened during the prosperous Tang and prosperous Song dynasties, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But now it is the early Ming dynasty. Although it has been 10 years since the founding of the country, the prolonged and endless wars have consumed a large amount of manpower and financial resources. In areas with frequent outbreaks of war, the land is abandoned and there is no human habitation within 10 miles. Regarding this, Zhu Yuanzhang issued a national policy of rest and recuperation. The key is to enable farmers to cultivate wasteland, expand field area, and improve production labor force. So, as Zhu Yuanzhang's carriage walked along the way, farmers who were reclaiming land could be seen everywhere. Faced with endless wasteland, farmers feel only fatigue. How could they smile on their faces? Thinking of the previous scenes, Zhu Yuanzhang couldn't help but feel that it was a world apart from the present-day Peixian. Zhu Yuanzhang felt it was unbelievable in his heart. The carriage continued to move forward. On both sides of the road, the once endless desolate scene has begun to change. Gradually, there were traces of farmers and the cultivation of grain fields. As we move deeper, there are more and more traces of cultivation, and they become more and more neat. I believe there will be a good harvest in this land when the grain comes out next year. But at this moment in the distance from the cultivated grain fields, a thick black smoke ignited, soaring into the clouds. Zhu Yuanzhang's face changed. Seeing this scene, Empress Ma and Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu both looked nervous. Not good. It's on fire there. Such a large expanse of thick smoke, I'm afraid the extent of burning damage is not small. Zhu Yuanzhang's face remained calm. If the fire were to burn into the fields, the farmer's annual labor would be equivalent to nothing. Stop. Zhu Yuanzhang disregarded his emperor's identity and ran to the middle of the road, shouting loudly at the people on both sides. Hurry up! Hurry up! A big fire is starting, everyone is following us to evacuate. But where do the people around seem to be preparing to evacuate? Walking leisurely on the road one by one, with no signs of panic on their faces. Zhu Yuanzhang roared angrily, "Are you all deaf? Didn't you hear us telling you to evacuate quickly?" But in the next moment, Zhu Yuanzhang suddenly realized that, the people around him all looked at him with a kind of intellectual disability and an ignorant gaze. What are you shouting so loudly for? That's not a fire. That's a brick factory, emitting black smoke is normal. That's right, it's burning every day. Outsiders, they just haven't seen anything. Zhu Yuanzhang. Although I don't know what this brick factory is. But so many people didn't panic at all, that's definitely not lying to him. It's good if there's no fire. Zhu Yuanzhang breathed a sigh of relief, but couldn't help but wonder and ask, what do you mean by a brick factory? Seeing their whole family's eyes filled with doubts and curiosity. The people around explained, of course, brick factories are used to produce bricks. If a large number of bricks are produced, we can build communities in Peixian. But after the people finished speaking, Zhu Yuanzhang became even more confused. What is a community? The person impatiently waved at him. Outsiders are just ignorant. You can go inside Peixian and see for yourself, and everything will be clear. Zhu Yuanzhang felt a little displeased when he saw this person being so rude to him. And the next moment, the other party kindly reminded him before leaving. Outsiders, I see that your family has all come to Peixian, and they are also caravans and carriages. They definitely don't need any money. If you plan to settle here, you may need to spend some money early to buy a good community, which can also lead to better living conditions. Alas, the prices in the community have been increasing significantly recently. The person shook their head and left. Zhu Yuanzhang stayed in the same place, somewhat ignorant. We roughly understand what he just said, the community is a house. He felt curious again. But nowadays, people's food, clothing, and warmth are all problems in this world. Why do they still care so much about the house they live in? The house is just a house, what kind of community? What if you have a fancy name? Would it be great to have a palace where we live? Zhu Yuanzhang's beard trembled with pride, but there was a hint of curiosity in his eyes. Seeing this scene, Empress Ma smiled slightly. I haven't seen my husband for a long time, a scene of being petty. A family of 4 went on the road again. Gradually. The view on the roadside is also getting wider and wider. But surprisingly, the originally desolate scenery on both sides has turned into large green wheat fields filled with wheat. Each field is like a square grid, divided and standing on both sides of the road. Between the wheat fields, farmers shuttle between them, busy farming. Zhu Yuanzhang's eyes showed a smile. This wheat is planted so well, no wonder the people all have happy smiles on their faces. With such a good harvest, the people don't worry about eating. Naturally, you won't be able to see a worried expression on your face anymore. Zhu Yuanzhang silently wrote another credit to Meng, the county magistrate, in his heart. Whether one is a good official or not depends on the lives of the people below. The scene of walking deeper and deeper, however, touched Zhu Yuanzhang and turned into a shock. Originally just a green wheat field, it gradually turned golden yellow. Full grains of wheat seemed to be drooping into the ground. The square grid of wheat fields stands at the end of the line of sight, endless. Look, Zhu Yuanzhang's eyes became moist as he held Empress Ma's hand and said with a moved expression on his face. Empress, we haven't seen such a bountiful harvest in a long time. Zhu Yuanzhang originally thought that Peixian would have a better harvest. But now, where can the people not worry about food in this endless wheat field? I just can't finish it. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Peixian Guidelines. How could we have rebelled back then? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Empress Ma also blushed, just like Zhu Yuanzhang, feeling quite touched. Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu could only stand quietly behind their parents, gazing at the golden grain fields from afar. They were not born in that era and could not experience the shock of this harvest. Zhu Yuanzhang will never forget that year when he was still in his teens. There was a plague and drought in Haozhou. The officials of the Yuan dynasty were corrupt. The grain for disaster relief is being squeezed layer by layer. When it arrived in front of the people, there was only one layer of millet husk left. His father starved to death, his brother starved to death, his eldest son starved to death, and his mother starved to death again. That period of time was the most tragic in his life. Watching helplessly as family members starved to death one after another due to lack of food. Even in order to make a living, he went to the temple to become a monk and was kicked out in a few days. If there had been such a harvest back then, how could it have been like this? The days when Zhu Yuanzhang suffered from hunger and cold in those years will never be forgotten. Now looking at the bountiful wheat field in front of him, how could Zhu Yuanzhang not shed tears? As his hair-tied wife, Empress Ma also accompanied him from the most difficult years to the present, and of course, he can also empathize with it. Zhu Yuanzhang wiped his tears and said 3 good words heavily. Okay. As long as the people can have enough to eat, our hearts will be happy. He was once born as a farmer, and his thoughts were so simple. To ensure that all the people in the world have enough to eat, and to prevent the things he experienced in the past from happening again. Zhu Yuanzhang calmed his mood. Once again, he transformed back into the majestic emperor. Keep moving forward. After returning to the carriage, Zhu Yuanzhang no longer felt the same grief as before, and his mind began to turn. It's not difficult for him to imagine that such a good harvest for farmers must also be related to the county magistrate Meng who manages Pei County. Zhu Yuanzhang's eyes showed a hint of interest. He wants to see how much surprise this Meng can give him. Soon. Zhu Yuanzhang and the others in the carriage have already seen the county town ahead, and there are more people nearby. The front is the county gate of Pei County. The caravan transformed by Zhu Yuanzhang gradually approached the county gate. Like ordinary counties, the walls built here are ancient and rustic, and there is nothing unique about them. But the group of people standing outside the county gate caught their attention. A few people in this team were dressed in constables, standing straight as a pine tree, even in the scorching sun without moving. But a pair of bright and lively eyes. The figure is even more burly and tall, with several people of similar height and physique. Zhu Yuanzhang looked at the disguised guards in his caravan again. A look of disgust appeared in an instant. The people from the Xinji camp were led around, but were eventually defeated by a constable from a small county. Dad, these constables don't seem weaker than the soldiers in our Ming army. It's really a waste of talent to have them stand here and guard the door. Besides, there are still a few of them. If they were to be brought back to the military for key training, they would definitely be skilled. Zhu Xiu spoke up. He will conquer Xi'an in the 11th year of the Hangul reign next year, so naturally he is more concerned about these. Zhu Yuanzhang did not speak. He comes from the background of a horse-backed emperor, so it's natural to see that the several constables guarding the gate are good seedlings. Cultivate well for a few years, maybe you can also become a brave and skilled general. Think of it here. Zhu Yuanzhang also felt that Meng Yin, the county magistrate, should have such good constables guarding the gate here. It's just a waste of talent. Zhu Yuanzhang cherished his talents the most in his life. The carriage arrived at the county gate. A constable reached out a hand and signaled for them to stop. Please, all the people on the carriage come down and undergo investigation. Where did you come from, where did you go, and what did you do in Peixian? Upon hearing the investigation, Zhu Yuanzhang and others were not allowed to get off the carriage. Coming from the sky, I heard that there is good business doing here, so I came to take a look. Zhu Yuanzhang continued to look at the constable. The constable nodded and then, according to the rules, checked the convoy. After seeing some valuable goods carried by the convoy, the constable in charge suddenly changed his gaze and looked at Zhu Yuanzhang, saying, "Is the entire caravan yours?" Zhu Yuanzhang was slightly taken aback. The look in the constable's eyes seems to have a bit of animosity towards wealthy people. The royal guards on the side seemed to have noticed something was wrong with the constable, and then their eyes narrowed slightly. They silently took a few steps and protected Zhu Yuanzhang behind them. At this moment, the constable in charge spoke up, "I see that you are wealthy, so I want to give you some advice. Here, do you see? After entering the county gate, walk straight along the east side. The street is full of high-end inns specifically designed for wealthy people like you. Although it's a bit expensive, it's definitely worth it." Zhu Yuanzhang was somewhat stunned. High-end inns. Specifically designed for wealthy people. Seeing that he seemed interested, the constable continued to talk to him. "Yeah, come to Peixian, you don't have to know the location division here first. To the east is accommodation, to the south is food, drink, and play, and to the west is a shopping market. If you're looking for the government, go to the north. If you want to invest and do business, go find our county magistrate over there." It is also the first time that Zhu Yuanzhang has lived for so long. Entering the county gate, the city guard constable introduced the local environment. The previous time was not filled with silver. "It's a bit interesting." Zhu Yuanzhang stroked his beard. The constable has already started urging them. "If there's no problem, you can go in." "Okay, next one." The group passed through the county gate and entered Peixian. After walking a few steps, I couldn't help but widen my eyes. On the street filled with the smell of fireworks. On everyone's face, there is a smile that cannot be seen on the faces of people from other places. It can be seen that the people here are really living a happy life. Come on, do some divination. Don't be free of money. I'm going to perform my unique skills for everyone. Those who have passed by, if you have money, hold a money court, if you don't have money, hold a personal court. Selling pancakes. So delicious that I can't stop. I can't buy them, I can't afford to lose them, I can't fall for them. Zhu Yuanzhang and his group walked on the street. There is a feeling of being separated from the world. There are various shops running on the street. Under the stone bridge, young men and women also arranged to row boats. There are various industries here. Even the flags of brothels and gambling houses were hung high, as if afraid that no one would see them. Is this still a small county? Surprisingly, it's so bustling. Zhu Yuanzhang pondered slightly and was deeply moved. This sense of happiness, feeling silent and always by my side. Empress, if we had lived here back then, we wouldn't have rebelled. Zhu Yuanzhang pulled Empress Ma and couldn't help but exclaim. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. The Inn of 10 Liang silver per night, this Meng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Empress Ma showed a friendly smile and nodded slightly. She found that after Zhu Yuanzhang arrived in Peixian, he became a bit sentimental and hadn't seen him for a long time. After strolling through this southern district of food, drink, and entertainment, Zhu Yuanzhang and his team experienced the prosperity here for the first time. But at the same time, it was also noticed that there are many shops nearby that have not opened their doors. Asking passers-by revealed that those shops only open at night, which is the busiest time. So, Zhu Yuanzhang decided to first go to the east as the constable suggested, find a place to stay and settle down, and then continue to wander at night. Sir, don't leave. Our small shop is open today, and if you pay 100 yuan or more, you will receive a refund of 10 yuan. There are also card promotion activities. When passing by, many strange vendors spoke slogans that Zhu Yuanzhang and his companions had never heard of before. This made their family feel even more novel. Soon, driving the carriage, we arrived at the eastern district. Just got off the carriage. Zhu Yuanzhang opened his eyes again. Looking at it, the houses here are completely different from the ordinary houses they have seen. These houses have been built one by one, row by row, standing in large areas. And each building has 4 or 5 floors built. Continuing. Zhu Yuanzhang saw a plaque hanging on the outside of these houses. Residential community. Zhu Yuanzhang and his team suddenly realized. So this is what the people of Peixian said about the community before. Not only was it specially built, but there were also people outside who guarded the entrance and exit. Take a look up. From time to time, people come and go on the floors, with happy smiles on their faces. Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu's faces were also extremely surprised. Although it cannot compare to a palace with gold bricks and silver tiles, its style is unique and unprecedented. Zhu Yuanzhang and his companions stopped for a moment to admire. Continuing. They continued to move forward. They finally found an inn after not walking too far. From the appearance alone, it appears to be magnificent and aesthetically pleasing. But when we reached the door, glancing inside, I realized there was a unique cave. Unlike the inns I have encountered before, the first floor is filled with tables and there is a lot of noise from the diners. Inside is a beautiful lobby, with only a few usable pieces of furniture placed. All other areas have been cleared. At first glance, it gives a very simple and comfortable feeling. Zhu Yuanzhang plans to walk in again and take a look at this point. 2 rows of people standing at the door said loudly and neatly, "Welcome. Come. Shua shua shua. Let's bow together. Keep the angle consistent." Zhu Yuanzhang and the others were startled. Let them feel surprised again. The architecture here is different from what he has seen before, even the rules for entertaining guests at the inn are different. If you go into any inn, it's usually the voice of the waiter. "Sir, would you like to stay or stay?" It's not like here, saying welcome to visit. Zhu Yuanzhang nodded in satisfaction. If it happened in the palace, he wouldn't be surprised. But this is just a small Peixian. But there is a unique and enjoyable service. This inn must be like a constable telling him, it's worth it. Zhu Yuanzhang smiled and said to Empress Ma and the others, "Let's go in." They got off the carriage and their luggage was carried by the guards behind them. But as soon as they walked in, someone came over to help them. "Sir, just hand over your luggage to us and we will help you take it to your room. You can register your housing information here and pay the rent." Following the prompts, Zhu Yuanzhang walked over to register the information. The shopkeeper smiled and said, "Our accommodation time is from late afternoon to noon the next day. The rent for 1 night is 10 taels of silver." After the other party smiled and introduced him, Zhu Yuanzhang's face changed. "What? You'll need 10 taels of silver in 1 night. I really treated them like big shots. It's just a small inn, collecting such a high amount of silver. Do you really think this is the palace?" Zhu Yuanzhang is also a hot-tempered person. In addition, he himself has a superior temperament, standing here already makes people feel nervous. But the shopkeeper continued to introduce it. "Sir, I'm afraid this is your first time visiting our inn, isn't it? These 10 taels of silver are not only for accommodation expenses, but also include the boat tickets for sightseeing in Peixian. When you come back at night, you will also receive a late-night snack. Not only that, it also includes breakfast for the next day." Upon hearing this, Zhu Yuanzhang's face was still somewhat unhappy. Even so, these don't add up to 10 taels of silver, do they? The other party still said with a smile, "The guest said it well. What I'm saying now is indeed that you spent less than 10 taels of silver outside. But our inn service is not just that. Each of our rooms is equipped with brand new face towels, soap horns, and bedding. There are also osmanthus cakes, high-quality tea leaves, and more for you to enjoy for free. The most different thing is that in order to ensure guests' cleanliness, there are separate bathtubs and toilets. You just need to press the button, the bathtub will have hot water to soak in, and the toilet will automatically flush and brush away any dirt. The main purpose is to make your stay at the inn comfortable. Zhu Yuanzhang listened for a moment. All using new household appliances. Free food consumption. Can you still take a hot bath directly in the room? Can the toilet flush automatically? What is a water pipe? Is it really that magical? The shopkeeper smiled again and said. Sir, I'll take you to take a look at the room first. Zhu Yuanzhang nodded. It's no use just talking, you have to see it with your own eyes. The shopkeeper led them up to the second floor. Entered a room. The layout in the room is as simple and clean as on the first floor. All the homes are different from those in a regular inn. Zhu Yuanzhang started to stroll around. At first glance, he saw the brand new and tidy bed. He was about to try to sit down, but when he suddenly got down, it was not hard, but soft. He was almost completely immersed. He was surprised. I have never slept on such a soft bed in my life. Standing up and flipping over, it turned out that there was a thick cushion on the bed, but I couldn't tell what was inside. Not just the bed. And the toilet that I just told the shopkeeper can really flush automatically. There is also a long corridor outside the room, with a row of hanging poles above the head. Zhu Yuanzhang asked, what is this? Sir, this is for hanging cleaned clothes. Zhu Yuanzhang nodded in surprise. It really broadened his horizons. The setting is so thoughtful, no wonder it costs 10 taels of silver. Immediately. Zhu Yuanzhang said, shopkeeper, please give us 3 guest rooms. He has 1 room with Empress Ma, and 1 room for each of his 2 sons. Okay, guest. The room arranged by the shopkeeper for them happened to be on the top floor. When Zhu Yuanzhang walked onto the balcony, he could see the entire picture of Peixian. Several areas are also right in front of him. The southern district of food, drink, and entertainment, the western district of bustling markets, the eastern district of residential areas, and the tall and majestic county government office to the north. Zhu Yuanzhang once again felt the value of these 10 taels of silver flowers. Can you have such a fresh experience? Pei County is so well governed that Meng must be a capable minister in governing the world. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Night life in Peixian County, Lord Meng of this gambling house. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Empress Ma looked at the scene in Peixian and smiled, yes. As the wife of Zhu Yuanzhang, she naturally understood the difficulties of governing the country. At this time, the scene of Peixian has already demonstrated an extraordinary level of governance. Soon. After resting in the inn for a while, Zhu Yuanzhang arrived at night. I have long heard from the innkeeper that there are many activities this evening. I also sent them a few sheets of paper specifically, which read program promotion leaflets. Just about to go out. The brothers Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu have also come over. Dad, let's go out for dinner. The southern district must be very lively. Yeah, I heard there are still many stores over there that stay open all night. Zhu Xiu chuckled and then started joking with Zhu Biao. Big brother, are you referring to the land of fireworks? Zhu Yuanzhang's face darkened and he snorted, saying. Is your older brother this kind of person? It's obvious that you're thinking about those things in your own heart. If I could learn half of Meng Yin's talent, it wouldn't be in vain. Zhu Yuanzhang cursed back and forth. I also have high hopes for my son in my heart. It's inevitable that the tone is a bit heavy. Zhu Xiu lowered his head under the scolding and dared not say anything more. 8, the child is rarely happy, so don't say these words. Empress Ma came out to plead. Zhu Yuanzhang didn't say anything anymore. So. The whole family is going out again. Unexpectedly, after arriving in the southern district, the crowd was unusually crowded. Zhu Yuanzhang couldn't help but sigh. This night, it's even more lively and bustling than the capital city. Especially these common people, each with a happy smile on their faces. Even in the capital, this kind of scene cannot be seen. Wandering among the crowd, Zhu Yuanzhang and his companions were also infected by the smiles of the people, and their heavy mood gradually became relaxed and joyful. When passing by the brothel gambling house, Zhu Yuanzhang stopped. Because they were attracted by the battle at the door. At the entrance of the brothel, about 10 women playing music. The pieces played were incredibly joyful and had a strong sense of rhythm. The most crucial thing is that at this moment, some of the people gathered at the doorstep jumped directly into place with the music. Zhu Yuanzhang was about to lose his chin in shock. Because he had never seen such a strange jumping scene before, the most common posture used by the people was shaking their heads. This is the only action that comes and goes back and forth. Zhu Yuanzhang was really afraid that they wouldn't be able to stand steadily and flew out directly. If it weren't for the excited smiles on their faces, thinking these people were sick in the crowded jumping crowd. A woman with revealing and charming attire began to attract customers in. My guest, come in and play. The girls here are all delicate, soft, and easy to push down. Those welcoming women also do not shy away from their identities. Just stand at the door and give them a flirtatious glance. Who can bear this? Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu were lost in thought. At this point, Zhu Yuanzhang spoke coldly. Have you seen enough? If you haven't seen enough, let's take you in for a walk. The two brothers quickly averted their gaze upon hearing this. Zhu Yuanzhang snorted coldly. In such a bustling street, he was too lazy to bother cursing his unproductive son. The family continued forward. Finally, I saw the entertainment venue that interested Zhu Yuanzhang. During the day, most of the street performances are performed by individual small groups. In the evening, there was a dedicated theater team who selected a large open space, set up a stage, hung lanterns, and even played big drums. The people on stage who are going to perform are wearing various fancy and bizarre clothes. A large number of seats were also placed in the empty space below the stage. Half of the seats are already occupied. More than 10 constables were patrolling and said, "Everyone, please take your seats in order." There are also vendors selling melon seeds and peanut tea in the front row. Zhu Yuanzhang also showed interest and said to the few people behind him, "Let's go and sit down." Someone led them to sit down. Zhu Yuanzhang noticed that almost every table next to him had ordered melon seed peanut tea. He also had someone come up with a trick. Fortunately, the price is also reasonable. But at this moment, suddenly, a scream came from the crowd. Quickly catch him. He stole the money bag from me. In such a prosperous scene, pickpockets unexpectedly appeared. This also made Zhu Yuanzhang and the others curious, standing up and watching the excitement. But there are captors on site. I quickly saw the back of the pickpocket and chased after him. The constable is tall and burly, even running fast. Quickly picked up the weak pickpocket as if carrying a chick. Throw it on the ground. Hey! I finally caught you, this guy. I let you run away a few times before, but I still don't regret it. The people on the ground immediately begged for mercy. Please spare your life, please spare your life. When Zhu Yuanzhang saw these constables, he didn't look like he had seen before, with a fierce and evil expression on his face. The other constable even said in a teasing tone, "You've been caught by us so many times, and you've become skilled at stealing things, but your escape speed has slowed down. If you don't get caught and go through labor reform again this time, you'll be sorry to our county magistrate. If you don't listen to me and work hard, I insist on stealing. Yes. Take it away." Several constables dragged the pickpocket away with both arms. The person was dragged along while complaining incessantly. "Sir. I don't want to steal either. But I can't control my hands." The people around heard this shout and burst into laughter, seemingly accustomed to it and not too angry. Quickly, today's performance by the theater troupe came to an end. After reading it, Zhu Yuanzhang and the others walked out. Along the way, there were constant shouts and sales on both sides of the street. The fragrance of snacks wafted through the nose. Zhu Yuanzhang and his companions also felt envious and ate along the way. Stepping out of the snack street, everyone's stomachs were bursting. So, their family, like ordinary people, walked back leisurely while chatting, passing by the casino again. Zhu Yuanzhang and the others flashed before their eyes. Suddenly, a few people came out of the gambling house, and they even held someone in their hands and pushed it to the ground. Continuing. A few people from the gambling house formed a circle and punched and kicked the person on the ground. After finishing the fight, the people of the gambling house cursed and entered, closing the door. And after being beaten up, the person lying on the ground was still alive or dead. Zhu Yuanzhang and his companions went up to observe. The people around also gathered around. "Hurry up and call the constable. Something's wrong." So someone ran to the county government to find someone to look for a constable. After a while, several tall-looking constables arrived outside the gambling house, and one of them stepped forward to check the people on the ground. Fingers extend under the other person's nose. Then he frowned and said, "I'm dead. Dead." The people were so frightened that they all retreated several meters. Continuing. The constable started working. Block the entire venue, and no idle people are allowed to enter. There are also gambling houses that have ceased operations, and the person in charge of the gambling house has been detained at the county government. The constable's business can be considered very skilled, and he completed all of this in just half an hour. Zhu Yuanzhang, who had been watching this scene all along, couldn't help but nod. Not bad. The constable did not shield the people of the gambling house. It seems that this gambling house is about to end. Listen to him. A common person next to him retorted with a smile, "What's over? You're wrong in your thinking." Zhu Yuanzhang was stunned and asked, "Wrong? What does that mean?" "Wait and see, Lord Meng will start acting again tomorrow." Upon hearing these words, Zhu Yuanzhang was taken aback and said, "Acting?" The onlookers looked at Zhu Yuanzhang a few times and then smiled. "Are you from out of town? It seems you didn't know that this gambling house was guarded by our Lord Meng." "Our Lord Meng has invested in the gambling house." The other party only said one sentence. Before Zhu Yuanzhang could ask, the surrounding people were making a fuss. "Tomorrow, you should go to the Yamen early to watch a good show." "Yeah, if you go late, you'll miss out on Mr. Meng's wonderful performance." "Ha ha ha. Lord Meng's play cannot be missed." In a lively atmosphere, everyone just dispersed. Only Zhu Yuanzhang, who was scattered in the wind, remained. He still had a bewildered expression on his face. What the people said completely fooled him. The person just told him that Meng Yin is covering the gambling house, but he still doesn't believe it. However, everyone around here said they were going to see a good show tomorrow. Consistent with what the person just said. Is there still a fake? Zhu Yuanzhang's face darkened. On this day, he always felt that Meng Yin was a talent for governing the world. But a good official, shouldn't he have arrested all the gamblers who killed people and punished them severely? Can this be done to bring justice to the people? But no one here wants to seek justice for those who died. Instead, he said he wanted to go see Meng Yin perform. What kind of play is playing? Some people also say that Meng Yin invested in the gambling house. What does investing mean? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. County Magistrates sleep until noon, I want. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Something like this happened. Zhu Yuanzhang's previous good mood was shattered. The family also returned to the inn. On this journey, Zhu Yuanzhang's face was not very attractive. There is more doubt in my heart. From his observation of Peixian all day today, he felt that Meng was a good official. But just now, the people were joking about the big deal of dying on the street, and even mentioning that Meng had an affair with the casino. Some shook Meng beautiful image in his heart. Zhu Yuanzhang felt conflicted in his heart. He has decided to go and see how Meng was sentenced early tomorrow morning. The second day. Mao Shi. Zhu Yuanzhang got up. The emperors of the Ming dynasty were the most hard-working, and Zhu Yuanzhang was the leader. Since he ascended the throne, he has personally taken charge of all major and minor matters in the court, firmly holding power in his hands. Basically, it takes more than 10 hours to grade memorials every day. It's not surprising that he wakes up earlier than ordinary people. At a slight dawn, Zhu Yuanzhang arrived at the county government office. Waiting here for Meng to ascend. After waiting for a long time, I found that I didn't see anyone. Returning to the bustling city, Zhu Yuanzhang grabbed a passerby and asked, "What's going on?" "Yesterday, someone died outside the gambling house. Isn't there a court hearing today?" The person glanced at him and explained, "Isn't it a stranger? Our county magistrate sleeps until noon every day. I'm probably still sleeping soundly at this moment. Do you want to see the promotion? You'll have to have lunch and come later." Upon hearing this, Zhu Yuanzhang's face has grown old. He snorted coldly, "Absurdity. It's really absurd. As a county official, I actually sleep until noon every day. Does this comply with the laws of the Ming dynasty?" The other party was also frightened by his momentum. Later, he explained, "We adults have set our own daily office hours, with a maximum of 4 hours in the morning and evening. If there are too many hours, we won't work." Upon hearing the explanation from the people, Zhu Yuanzhang became even angrier. So negligent. What if there are too many people reporting the case one day? Don't worry, the adults in our county are skilled at slacking off. If there are really any cases, they can go directly to the government office to register from midnight to midnight every morning. If it's just a trivial matter, someone will mediate and resolve it privately if they give their opinion. If it's really a big deal like rising to death, then we must be promoted to court and sentenced. Zhu Yuanzhang still didn't have much good temper and said, "Is his laziness worthy of the imperial court in the matter of food and loyalty to you?" Upon hearing these words, the passerby shook his head and said, "Then you're wrong. In the words of our county magistrate, there are many troublemakers and nonsense. Today, the Lao Wang family lost a cow, and tomorrow, the Lao Li family's mother hen laid fewer eggs. If we had to bother him with such a small matter, he would be exhausted all day long." Zhu Yuanzhang was taken aback for a moment, pondering carefully, but felt that there was some truth, so he couldn't help but nod. But in the next moment, something seemed to be wrong in my heart. What does this have to do with sleeping until noon? Zhu Yuanzhang still wanted to write, but the people in front of him had already left. Under helplessness, Zhu Yuanzhang had to wait until he had lunch before coming back. Finally, in the afternoon, he was elevated. Wei Wu, the people watching the play, finally waited for the county magistrate to appear. Meng, dressed in an official robe, walked leisurely with his hands behind his back. His handsome and extraordinary face had a calm expression, as if a serious matter like being promoted to the next level was like eating and drinking water to him, without any pressure. Zhu Yuanzhang stood among the crowd watching the excitement. This is the first time Zhu Yuanzhang has seen Meng. I didn't expect the other party to be so young. He is also handsome and extraordinary in appearance. He sighed in his heart that he was a talented person who could manage Peixian so well at a young age. Soon, the promotion has started. Meng knocked the door open. "Who is the person in the hall?" Why sue me? An old woman kneeling on the ground wept and answered, Sir, I want to sue the people of the gambling house for killing my son. My son Zhao De, he died so tragically. Meng looked up and asked the people around him, Oh. Did the gambling house kill your son? Did anyone see it with their own eyes? Sir, we have all seen it. Many people answered one after another. Yeah, we did see it. His son was killed by the people in the gambling house. Meng nodded and said calmly, killing someone on the street. That's a serious matter. Come on, bring up the people from the gambling house. Soon. The constable brought up all the people he caught last night. Meng asked, Do you confess to killing someone? A few people looked at each other and said with a look of grievance on their faces, Sir. We are wronged. Meng raised his eyebrows and said, Oh. You said you didn't kill the person. Several members of the gambling house quickly said, Please investigate carefully. That Zhao De owes us several hundred taels of gambling house. Not only did he not repay the money, but he also caused trouble in the gambling house. Even if we hit him, it's completely out of self-defense. Looking at these gamblers with a look of injustice on their faces. But the people around burst into laughter. Self-defense. Ha ha ha. In the crowd. Only Zhu Yuanzhang had a dark old face. He said with a furious smile, It's like reversing black and white. We saw it all last night. It's clear that they killed someone by relying on their large number of people. Even if the other party owes gambling debts, there's no need to make such a harsh move. With a loud bang. Meng patted the startled tree and said, Silence. He said with a playful expression on his face, Since the gamblers say that Zhao De owes money, it must be recorded in the account. Someone, pass on the certificate. Continuing. The constable and the accountant in the gambling house brought them up. Upon questioning, it is indeed true. So. Meng had a slight smile on his lips and announced, I now announce that it is Zhao De who has borrowed money and is still causing trouble in the gambling house. Gamblers may be sentenced lightly if there is a reason for their actions. As soon as he finished speaking, the people around him who were watching the excitement immediately raised their hands to praise him. Okay. Your Majesty, good judgment. Zhao's mother, kneeling on the ground, immediately shouted for injustice. Your Excellency. It's unjust. My son owes gambling debts because the people in the gambling house took out high-interest loans, making him borrow time and time again. In order to repay the money, we even sold our ancestral home. I also lived in poverty. Now that my son has died again, what should I do with the remaining hundreds of taels? I'm an old woman, even if I exchange my life for it, I can't even get back a few hundred taels of silver. The people around quieted down. Zhu Yuanzhang in the crowd was even more angry. What an unfilial son. He owed a gambling debt and died on his own, yet let his lonely old mother live so pitifully in this world. But what's even more despicable is the gambling house, which actually offers high-interest loans. If he comes to judge the case, let this gambling house close directly. We still need to carry out a killing spree. Zhu Yuanzhang's eyes were filled with anger and killing intent. On the high hall. Meng looked helpless and sighed, since that's the case, let the gamblers go to jail for 3 months. But Zhao's mother still refused and cried uncontrollably. He said he didn't want to live anymore and was about to hit a pillar. Meng asked the constable to hold on to the opponent. He said again, all right, I saw your only son being beaten to death in the street, old and helpless. So I asked the gambling house to return you 70 taels of interest, and asked the gambling house to handle your son's funeral, along with 30 taels of burial fees. Speaking. Meng pinched his fingers again and started counting. And your mental loss fee, the rest adds up to a total of 200 taels. Do you have any objections? A burst of enthusiastic voices erupted in the crowd. Oh my God, 200 taels. You've made a fortune. If I have 200 taels, I'll go directly to the community to buy a new house. Yeah, Zhao's mother has made a lot of money this time. The people around were discussing fiercely. Zhao's mother, who was kneeling, wiped away her tears with a reluctant expression and nodded in acceptance. Thank you very much, sir. This matter has finally come to an end. Meng stood up and twisted his waist, saying, all right, step out. Having tried such a complex case is exhausting for me. After speaking, Meng was the first to leave the high hall, and the rest of the matter was left to him to handle. And at this moment, Zhu Yuanzhang stood foolishly in place. My heart is filled with anger. This damn county magistrate. Is that how the case was judged? A human life is only worth 200 taels. Killing someone only takes 3 months in prison. Does this make him tired? We used to think he was a good official, but now looking at him, he's really blind. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. In Peixian, one lives 100 taels, doing so. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After watching the good play, the crowd dispersed. Only the angry brothers Zhu Yuanzhang and Zhu Biao Zhu Xiu remain. Dad, let's go back too. It's strange that the county magistrate's method of sentencing has never been seen before. But these people don't think it's wrong either. The princes are speaking. But when I turned around and saw Zhu Yuanzhang's face, I was scared. Damn Meng, I really want to kill him now. We're so angry. Zhu Yuanzhang angrily patted his chest. Now it's on the street, it's not easy to say too much. I have to go back to the inn with the 2 princes first. After returning, Zhu Yuanzhang's anger did not dissipate. I didn't expect such a wrongful case to happen right in front of me. Meng should be killed. Zhu Yuanzhang said with a vicious gaze. He kills officials one by one without mercy. See the situation. Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu glanced at each other. They all planned to speak up and persuade Zhu Yuanzhang. Father, when I looked at the people around me at that time, I didn't think there was any problem with Meng Yin's verdict. Zhu Biao calmly analyzed. If it's really a wrongful case, I'm afraid those people won't be smiling all over their faces. Zhu Xiu also agreed and said, Big brother is right. Father, the people all think that Meng Yin is fine. Is there any misunderstanding here? Zhu Yuanzhang's expression changed. A hint of doubt also appeared on the angry old face. Yeah. I was so angry when I heard it. But why are the people still giggling and not feeling angry at all? Is there really a hidden truth behind this? Zhu Yuanzhang pondered for a moment. Go and call the shop assistant over. We need to ask this matter carefully. Not for a while. The shop assistant downstairs has come up. The reason why Zhu Yuanzhang didn't ask the shopkeeper was because he was afraid that he had colluded with Meng Yin, and even if he asked himself, he wouldn't tell the truth. The shop assistant is a nobody. Do you know about the case handled by the county magistrate of Peixian today? Zhu Yuanzhang, with a look of a superior, squinted his eyes and stared at the shop assistant, asked the waiter answered honestly, Sir, I know. Zhu Yuanzhang asked again, Do you think the county magistrate was wrong in judging the case like this? Upon hearing this, the shop assistant was puzzled and said, Of course not. Why? The gambler killed someone, but only caught them and locked them up for 3 months. Isn't this a wrongful case? The shop assistant understood his meaning now. So he explained with a smile. My guest, you don't know anything. The person who died was called Zhao De, and he is also a notorious scoundrel here. On weekdays, Zhao De has never done anything serious except gambling. Their family used to have a good life. But Zhao Da's gambling addiction grew stronger and he ran out of money. He tied up his own younger sister and sold her in a brothel. Fortunately, a kind-hearted person rescued him later and even beat Zhao Da up. His younger sister married that person and never returned to the Zhao family. Afterwards, Zhao Da was still willing to gamble, and his mother couldn't persuade him. Zhao Da sold his family's house again and only lived in a thatched cottage with his mother. When it rained, it would leak water. Zhao Da himself couldn't go back home several times a month, but he caused his mother a lot of trouble. The shopkeeper gloated and said, Zhao Da was killed this time, and Zhao's mother's life will be easier from now on. Zhu Yuanzhang did not expect that there was another reason behind this. But he is still curious. Wouldn't a mother feel sad if her own son died? I heard him say this. The shop assistant smiled again. If you have such a son on the stall, then it's gone. Fortunately, in our county of Peixian, a person's life can be worth 100 taels. Zhao's mother's current compensation is still 200 taels. Will she still worry about the rest of her life? She's not even happy yet. If it's elsewhere, then there's nothing. After these words come to an end. Just let Zhu Yuanzhang be confused. At the same time, I also felt immense anger in my heart. Human life is only worth 100 taels of silver. Is Zhao's mother really thinking like you said? The shop assistant nodded affirmatively. Of course. Zhu Yuanzhang shook his head. He doesn't want to believe it's true. Because he himself is the person who values family ties the most. With a cold expression on his face, he said again, take us to Zhao's mother's house, we need to see the truth with our own eyes. The shop assistant smiled and refused. My guest, I still have to stay in the inn to do things. Zhu Yuanzhang took out 1 or 2 silver coins. Can we go now? Who knows? The shop assistant has no interest in his small amount of money. My guest, these 1 or 2 silver coins from you may seem quite substantial elsewhere. In our inn, I only need 5 days to earn it. The shop assistant extended 5 fingers and gestured. If I leave the inn for this 1 or 2 silver coins and get caught by the shopkeeper, it will actually make him think that I am a shallow person. Zhu Yuanzhang was once again surprised. Are all the waiters here making money like this? Surprisingly, there are 6 taels of wages per month. In other places, 1 or 2 silver is enough to cover the expenses of an ordinary family for a month. Zhu Yuanzhang gritted his teeth. I took out 10 taels of silver. Now, is that enough? This is about 2 months of salary for the shop assistant, and he won't be too discerning to refuse again. Otherwise, Zhu Yuanzhang would really be angry. Enough is enough. Sir, please follow me and I will take you there. Soon. The shopkeeper brought Zhu Yuanzhang to Zhao's mother's house. The road under my feet is bumpy, and the nearby houses are all thatched cottages, even more dilapidated than described by the shop assistant, making it impossible for people to live in. Just got closer. They heard waves of joy coming from over there. Congratulations. Mother Zhao, you will be blessed for the rest of your life. Yeah, the government asked the gambling house to compensate you 200 taels of silver, which is not a small amount. Lord Meng is really a good person. Zhao's mother, these 200 taels are enough for you to buy a house in a new community. You'll have no worries for the rest of your life. The people around are all congratulating Zhao's mother. Zhu Yuanzhang saw it. On Zhao's mother's face, there was indeed no sadness that should have been felt after her son died. But with a face full of red light and a smile. Thank you all. I have to thank Lord Meng for this. If it weren't for him sentencing me like this, I would have continued to live in this dilapidated thatched cottage for a lifetime. Lord Meng is the reincarnated parents of our people. Zhao's mother did not cry for her son. On the contrary, when talking about Meng Yin, tears streamed down his face. This once again surprised Zhu Yuanzhang. Zhao's mother didn't feel that her son's life was only worth 200 taels. And also thanked Meng Yin for doing so. The shopkeeper smiled and said, "Sir, do you believe me now?" Zhu Yuanzhang remained silent. Now, he himself doesn't know what opinion to have on this matter. I couldn't help but suspect in my heart. Is it really a problem with one's own ideas? Is Meng Yin actually doing the right thing? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Meng Yin is actually a corrupt official. Go see. You are listening at novelfull.audio. My guest. My guest. The shop assistant called Zhu Yuanzhang several times in a row. He just came to his senses. What's up? The shop assistant said, I have also shown you Zhao's family. Can you go back now? If the shopkeeper knew he had escaped, he would still have to be scolded. Zhu Yuanzhang glanced again at the thatched cottage, where there was still a scene of laughter and joy. His mood is extremely complex. Sighed. With both hands behind his back, he said, let's go. Okay. The shopkeeper drove a carriage and escorted Zhu Yuanzhang back to the inn. Return to the inn. The shopkeeper noticed that the shopkeeper was not there, so the incident of him stealing was not discovered. My guest, if you have nothing to do, I'll go ahead and get busy first. After listening, Zhu Yuanzhang stopped him. Wait a minute. Then he took out 1 or 2 silver coins. Sir, what are you doing? The shop assistant asked without understanding. We need to listen to you to be honest. In your heart, what kind of person are you, Meng County Magistrate? Hear this question. The shop assistant breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, I thought Zhu Yuanzhang was going to ask him to do something again. He smiled and said, I won't accept the small silver. My guest, if you want to inquire about Lord Meng's affairs, of course I know everything and can't stop talking. Zhu Yuanzhang withdrew the silver and nodded, saying, you support him so much. It seems that Meng Yin is an upright and good official in the hearts of all of you. Who knows? The shop assistant burst into laughter upon hearing this. Being upright. My guest, you're wrong again. What? Zhu Yuanzhang was confused. He frowned with some displeasure and asked, why did we say it wrong again? Didn't all the people on the street say that Meng Yin was a good official before? The waiter saw that he was a bit anxious, so he explained to him. Lord Meng is indeed a good official for the people. But if you say he is upright, then I can't agree with him. Zhu Yuanzhang was even more puzzled in his heart. Since he is a good official, why is he not a person of integrity? The shop assistant said, that's because you only know one thing and don't know the other. Lord Meng is indeed a good official who benefits the people. But he is also a corrupt official. And he's a big corrupt official. Boom. Zhu Yuanzhang's mind suddenly crackled. He never expected it. The shopkeeper would say such things. Corrupt officials. The thing he hates the most in his life is corrupt officials. In his eyes, corrupt officials are like worms. Since he was once a farmer, he has tasted the bitterness of being corrupt officials in the world. So after becoming emperor, his favorite to kill was corrupt officials. How many corrupt officials did he kill in Yingtian before? The unit of measurement is 10,000 people. All the officials who were killed trembled with fear. I'm afraid that the knife might accidentally hang around my neck. But what does this shop assistant say? Meng Yin is a corrupt official. According to his temperament, Meng Yin should be immediately subjected to the torture of peeling grass. Only then can he relieve the hatred in his heart. If Zhu Yuanzhang had heard someone's evaluation of Meng Yin for the first time, he would probably have dealt with Meng Yin immediately. But Zhu Yuanzhang's eyes were cold. Do you know the consequences of spreading rumors about court officials? At the sight of his serious demeanor, the shop assistant was also startled. The other party's demeanor is probably also extraordinary in status. Guest, what I'm saying is true. Lord Meng is indeed a corrupt official. But Lord Meng is not greedy for ordinary people's money. He said he doesn't like that little money. If you want to be greedy, be greedy. So, wealthy families are the target of Lord Meng's actions. Zhu Yuanzhang, who had been holding back his anger, suddenly froze upon hearing these words. How did it reverse again? Also, the people's little money is not worth it. If you want to be greedy, be greedy. Is this really what Meng Yin said? Zhu Yuanzhang twitched the corners of his mouth. He heard for the first time that someone took greed for money so naturally and had a lot of ambition. He was originally angry, but when he heard that Meng Yin was not greedy for the people's money, his anger subsided. Zhu Yuanzhang stroked his beard. I thought to myself, what kind of person is this Meng Yin? The shop assistant looked at his uncertain expression, afraid that the other party would get angry at him, and asked with some fear, Sir, can I go busy now? Zhu Yuanzhang waved his hand. Go ahead. The shop assistant breathed a deep sigh of relief and quickly slipped away. This is the first time he has encountered such a grand guest. After the shop assistant left, Zhu Yuanzhang still couldn't figure it out. Recall what happened these 2 days. Since he entered Peixian, he believed that Meng Yin was a talent for governing the world. To this day, watching Meng Yin judge the case and hearing firsthand how much a human life can be worth has already refreshed his 3 perspectives. Until now. The shop assistant said that Meng Yin is a good official, but at the same time, he is also a corrupt official. Zhu Yuanzhang patted his head. He has never been so sad before. If corrupt officials were to appear somewhere before, regardless of whether they were greedy for 1 or 2 taels of silver or 100 taels of silver, they would all be arrested. Even some officials who are not greedy are implicated in those who have committed crimes, and that's not to be missed. But Zhu Yuanzhang felt extremely difficult. Returned to the guest room. Empress Ma could tell from Zhu Yuanzhang's expression that he had something on his mind. Why put on a stinky face as soon as I came in? What happened again? Empress Ma was his wife of waste, and even if Zhu Yuanzhang became emperor, he treated Empress Ma with kindness as always. The two of them usually interact privately, just like ordinary couples in ordinary families. Even if he heard Empress Ma say a few words about him, Zhu Yuanzhang wouldn't care. Zhu Yuanzhang sighed. We encountered something that we couldn't figure out. Empress Ma smiled. Since I can't figure it out, let's call in a few more people to discuss. Isn't it possible for Emperor and his team to share the burden with you? Upon hearing Empress Ma's suggestion, Zhu Yuanzhang felt it was feasible. So he called Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu over. Father, what are you asking us for? Zhu Yuanzhang told the 2 brothers everything he had just learned from the shop assistant. What? Meng Yin is a corrupt official. But he only greets the money of wealthy families. What kind of operation is this? I really can't understand what this person is thinking. A person's life is worth 100 taels of silver, greedy only for wealthy families. This Meng Yin is really interesting. Dad, since we can't figure out Meng Yin, why don't we go see him instead? Zhu Biao put forward suggestions. To be honest, Meng Yin's style of conduct did indeed arouse Zhu Yuanzhang's curiosity. Since he couldn't convince himself, he directly sent someone to arrest Meng Yin, a corrupt official. Then get to know more about this person. Okay, let's go meet Meng Yin. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. What Meng County Magistrate will you see without silver? Give me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just say go and leave. On the carriage. A family sets off. The thought of meeting Meng Yin soon made Zhu Yuanzhang eagerly anticipate it. But at this point, Empress Ma suddenly spoke up, Chongba, did our family go to find Meng Yin, or did they act as wealthy merchants? After listening, Zhu Yuanzhang nodded. This trip was originally a WeChat private visit. If you want to see Meng Yin's true face, of course, you cannot meet him as a subordinate official. Empress Ma was relieved. It seemed that Zhu Yuanzhang did not intend to directly question Meng Yin. Soon, the carriage of Zhu Yuanzhang and his group arrived outside the mansion of Meng Yin in the northern district. He summoned a guard to report. After communicating with the gatekeeper a few times, the guard seemed to be infuriated by the other party. Returning with an unpleasant expression to Zhu Yuanzhang and others. What's wrong? Is it he who doesn't let us in? Zhu Yuanzhang asked in confusion. But he hesitated when he saw the guard's face and said hesitantly, no. Zhu Yuanzhang glared. What's going on? You said it neatly. Roared by Zhu Yuanzhang's violent temper. The guard said, Sir, that person said, we can go in. But money needs to be given. Sure enough. Upon hearing this, Zhu Yuanzhang's face turned much uglier. The guards knew this would be the result. At the next moment, Zhu Yuanzhang approached the gatekeeper with a few tiger steps. The voice said coldly, do you see that your county magistrate still wants money? There is no such rule in the Ming dynasty law, right? The person glanced at Zhu Yuanzhang, not at all threatened by him, and instead mocked him, saying, what county magistrate can I see without money? Just now your people said that you are wealthy merchants from the capital. I think it's probably fake, right? If you don't have any money, quickly stand away. Zhu Yuanzhang's tiger eyes widened and he became furious with lightning. Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu were also dumbfounded. This Meng Yin is okay. I directly fished out money and caught their father's head. So greedy, as if afraid that others won't catch his handle. Zhu Yuanzhang's hot temper is about to rush forward immediately. But Empress Ma held on to him. She walked up and smiled at the gatekeeper, saying, there are 10 taels of silver here. Is that enough for us to go in and meet the county magistrate? Empress Ma has a gentle temperament and doesn't speak as aggressively as Zhu Yuanzhang. It actually made the other person's attitude a bit better. But the gatekeeper returned 10 taels of silver to Empress Ma. 10 taels of silver is not enough. Our county magistrate has stipulated that people who see him have different identities and receive different amounts of money. Requesting an entry-level fee of 200 taels for handling affairs and 100 taels for doing business with adults. This time, even Empress Ma, who has always had a good temper, was stunned. Not to mention the father and son behind her. One by one, their faces turned green with anger. Zhu Yuanzhang couldn't bear it anymore. He almost rolled up his sleeves and said with a cold gaze, your county magistrate is so greedy. Aren't you afraid of retribution one day? Who knows? The other party is not afraid at all. He jokingly said, since you know we adults are greedy, you should have heard that we adults love to covet the money of your wealthy people. Especially when you say it's a caravan from Kyoto. Collecting hundreds of taels of silver is already a small amount. If you don't have money, hurry up and leave. Don't block the door. The gatekeeper is like driving away flies, not giving them face. You. Zhu Yuanzhang was about to explode with anger. Empress Ma stepped forward again and took out 100 taels of silver at once. Could you please go in and report it? The person took Empress Ma's money and said with a chuckle, it's still this lady who knows the world well. This once again satirizes the father and son of Zhu Yuanzhang. Watching the figure of the person leaving behind, Zhu Yuanzhang said angrily, dog servant, whatever kind of master you are, there will be whatever kind of servant you are. At this moment, Zhu Yuanzhang's mind, as well as his view of Meng Yin, had deteriorated significantly. Don't be impatient, let's go in and take a look later. Only Empress Ma's words could make Zhu Yuanzhang listen. Their family stood at the door waiting. After a while, that person came out before. All right, I have already informed the adults. You can also go in now. Zhu Yuanzhang walked in step by step. He was filled with anger in his heart. My original intention was to fiercely settle accounts with Meng Yin whenever I saw him. However, they had just walked in when several people were stunned. The layout of the courtyard is completely different from that of ordinary wealthy households. At this moment, there was a large pool of water in front of him, but there were many small streams of water spraying upwards, reaching a certain height, and then splashing back into the pool like a clear waterfall. And every stream of water is exactly the same, forming a ring around it. It looks beautiful, like segments of silk. Standing in front of the pool, one can still feel a cool and comfortable feeling. What is this again? Zhu Yuanzhang didn't expect to see another novel thing. Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu also started browsing. Dad! Come and take a look. Upon hearing his son call him, Zhu Yuanzhang went over curiously. I was about to walk straight ahead when I was stopped by Zhu Biao. Dad, there's a transparent millennium crystal standing in front of you, be careful not to bump into yourself. Zhu Yuanzhang reached out and touched it. Sure enough, I touched a very smooth surface. If I wasn't careful, I would have thought it was empty. He was startled in his heart. How did you make millennium crystals so thin? Zhu Yuanzhang's heart was already filled with curiosity. And at this point, he heard Zhu Biao call him again. Dad, look here quickly. Zhu Yuanzhang went over again. Then I saw transparent bottles filled with various flowers. Zhu Yuanzhang's eyes have been staring. How could glass be used for flower arrangement? Such luxury. Dad, and the calligraphy and paintings hanging at the door are all worth 100 gold in the capital. Zhu Yuanzhang took a look. Sure enough, although calligraphy and painting are not very famous, the embellishments on them are all small pieces of jewelry, all glued onto the calligraphy in painting. Zhu Yuanzhang only has one idea in his mind. Too luxurious. How much silver do we need here? Even if an emperor saw such a scene, he felt a pang of pain. Moreover, he is already frugal. Zhu Yuanzhang gritted his teeth fiercely and whispered, I will mobilize troops to attack his home. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Meeting Meng Yin at the end, what is the name of the Troublemaker's business? You are listening at novelfull.audio. This incredibly shocking scene. Empress Ma and her companions have not regained their senses for a long time. But as soon as she heard that Zhu Yuanzhang was going to send someone to raid Meng Yin's home, she immediately spoke out to stop it. Oh no, Heavy 8. How could we be so arbitrary without understanding everything? Zhu Yuanzhang looked angry and reached out to point at what he believed to be precious things in the yard. Take a look at these. So many valuable things, how could they be taken out to embellish the facade? It seems that Meng Yin usually embezzles a lot. We still underestimate him. Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu also began to persuade one after another. Dad, let's wait for Meng Yin to come first before we talk. That's all it says. Zhu Yuanzhang had no choice but to wait a little longer. But after sitting down for a long time, I still haven't seen Meng Yin. Zhu Yuanzhang's face also became increasingly foul-smelling. As the emperor, it is the first time he has waited for someone so long. Urged several times. Zhu Yuanzhang only saw a figure appear outside. He squinted his eyes. Finally, this Meng Yin has arrived. Meng Yin doesn't need to hear the case today, and he's not wearing an official robe. Dressed casually, but as soon as I came in, the shelf was not small. Meng Yin glanced at Zhu Yuanzhang and his group, who were also scrutinizing him. He furrowed his brow and asked coldly, "What are you looking at me for? Is there anything on the official's face?" Meng Yin carried his hands behind him. He looked at Zhu Yuanzhang and the others with his nostrils. Zhu Yuanzhang gritted his teeth again. If it weren't for Empress Ma's gaze stopping him, he would have been unable to resist taking action against Meng Yin. Meng Yin did not know what Zhu Yuanzhang was thinking. Seeing them not speaking, they frowned again. "You don't even know how to bow when you see me. There are really no rules." Meng Yin straightened his sleeves and said with a haughty expression. "Normally, if someone comes to me, it's either a gift or flattery. Why did you come today? You guys don't have the eye to see it." Then. The sound of grinding teeth echoed again in the room. Zhu Yuanzhang seemed so angry that smoke was almost coming out of his head. "Okay. Great. This Meng Yin is really audacious. As the emperor, do you still have to bow to him? He has never seen such an arrogant person before." Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu saw him in such a state. I couldn't help but worry in my heart. They haven't seen each other for a long time, and their father's anger is as strong as it is today. That is to say, several major cases that occurred in the court a few years ago. With a loud bang. Zhu Yuanzhang couldn't bear it and patted the table. Meng Yin was also startled by his actions and then said with a cold expression, "What are you doing? Staring at me with such eyes, can you still want to hit me?" Meng Yin said coldly. He couldn't control the anger on Zhu Yuanzhang's face. With another cold snort, a deputy officer spoke with a deceptive expression, "Don't think I'm afraid of you guys. This is Peixian County. You outsiders, regardless of your status, please be honest with me." Speaking. Not yet waiting for Zhu Yuanzhang to go berserk in anger. Meng Yin reached out and rubbed his throat. "Tisk, really. What makes me angry about arguing with a group of ignorant people like you?" He said to a somewhat handsome maid next to him, "I'm thirsty. Go and bring me some juice." "Yes, sir." Then. Meng Yin sat down and crossed his legs. He didn't directly ask Zhu Yuanzhang and others what they were looking for. Anyway, he only knows that he is thirsty now, and this question is the most important. Nothing else can compare. Even if Zhu Yuanzhang spoke up, he would only treat it as not hearing. Soon. The maid's juice is served. Meng Yin took a sip and a satisfied smile appeared on his handsome face. In summer, you just need to drink chilled fruit juice to feel good. Although this is ancient. But juice was invented a long time ago, and ancient people were still very intelligent. Meng Yin only needed to give 2 orders, and someone would extract pure, natural, and pollution-free juice for himself. It's still chilled. And across from him. Zhu Yuanzhang and others watched helplessly as Meng Yin drank the juice one by one. Suddenly. Zhu Xiu was speechless and couldn't help but speak. "We are guests, won't you give us a drink?" The faces of Zhu Yuanzhang and others were all very ugly. Especially since Zhu Yuanzhang was so angry just now, if a glass of ice-cold juice were to be poured down now. Not only can it quench his thirst, but it can also help him ease his mood. Zhu Yuanzhang gritted his teeth. But this damn Meng Yin. Surprisingly, he drank juice in front of me and didn't even give me a glass. Damn it. After I investigate thoroughly, I must have copied Meng Yin's home. Meng Yin, who enjoyed drinking juice, heard a question from a prince. He just stopped, belched heavily, and then pursed his lips, saying, "As I just said, you are just a group of ignorant guys. Do you still want to drink my official juice? Isn't that a waste? Zhu Yuanzhang and others were speechless again. What a special thing. You have been greedy for so much money yourself, and your family is even more luxurious than the palace. Surprisingly, they don't even want to entertain guests with a small glass of juice. This time it's not just Zhu Yuanzhang. Both Zhu Biao and Zhu Xiu can't hold their temper anymore. Bullying others too much. Zhu Yuanzhang stood up suddenly, finally ready to take action. Empress Ma came to Meng even faster than him. She smiled kindly and said, "County Magistrate, you're wrong. You probably don't know our identities yet." Meng also smiled and asked, "Oh. Can you tell me about your background?" After thinking for a moment, Empress Ma smiled slightly and said, "To be honest, our family is a wealthy merchant from the capital, and we are also members of Empress Ma's lineage. I came to Peixian this time and want to do some business." Upon hearing this, Meng was completely stunned. Do people from the Empress Ma clan come to do business with themselves? His first reaction was not that he felt the other party's family were imperial relatives. But rather he can give the other person a hard beating. Meng immediately stood up with a friendly smile on his face. Laughing like a spring breeze. In an instant, he became a good official who loved the people like a child, as if his arrogant attitude just now was just an illusion. Originally a relative of the Ma Empress clan. I was so negligent and offended earlier, please forgive me. Meng arched his hand and said. His face flipping faster than flipping through a book once again shook Zhu Yuanzhang and the others. Empress Ma smiled again and said, "The reason why my husband was hostile towards adults just now was because he heard about the verdict of adults today and felt it was unfair." Meng sat opposite her and asked, "What kind of unfair law is there?" Empress Ma expressed the view that human life is only worth 100 taels. Upon hearing this, Meng immediately stood up and approached Zhu Yuanzhang. Staring at Zhu Yuanzhang with great respect. Then he skillfully grasped the other person's hand. With a sincere gaze, he said. "So this master is so considerate of the people. It's rare. But is that group of troublemakers also a problem? Just pay a little silver. Is it difficult to still go online? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.